Iem Hotep, everyone. Welcome to today's Building the Lighted Temple Wisdom Service. And for those who may be new, and for the purpose of the recording, I am Dr. Nteri Nelson, metaphysician, clinician, and educator, and co-founder of the Academy of Kemetic Education and Wellness. And once again, I am delighted, as always, to that we are spending this time together on this glorious Sunday morning. And Hotep, Linda says, Hotep, everyone. All right, so we are going to begin. So, family, beloveds, what is Building a Lighted Temple? It is where we have been coming into these ethereal waters, this primal space, this universalizing resonant vibrational field, these ethers, this virtual space where we together and as one do the work of building a lighted temple, which is us, which is me, which is you, where we are amplifying our vibration so that we may distribute greater light out into the world and in our world of service. In these weeks, we have been in a series of themes, which for each presentation have embraced the theme of life and death, good and evil, darkness and light, Ma'at and Isfet. And today's presentation, our service will be entitled The Opening of the Mouth Ceremony. And you'll see why that title is so applicable as we go along, because today we have a special guest speaker, and he is one among us in our membership. You are hopefully now familiar with some of his work, but he's here to talk about more. And he is Mende Kru, so we'll bring him forward in a minute as our special guest speaker. I wanted to start by, again, anchoring our grounding in our primal wisdom. And we have been working to be like as Ani in the Pertimru, the pyramid text, you know, working to be as, who is working to be as Asur. We are all working to be as Asur. We are all working to be as Haru, Simsu Haru. So in embracing Ani in his life and what that work requires, we have been in these primal studies. What did our African ancestors see as important in this journey? And so as Ani, like Ani, we have been focusing on how to come before the scales of Ma'at and to be able to make the declaration of innocent, the 42 laws of Ma'at, that we have been living in truth and in accord with justice and harmony. And that we have been doing the work to fulfill our life service and purpose, our reason and meaning for being. Why have we incarnated? And doing that work when? Well, we've been studying the cycle of time in which we have come. So we know that we are doing this work in more troubled times. And as we're making this dimensional shift from a materialization of consciousness cycle into a re-spiritualization consciousness cycle. So we are just here, and we know we're in this arduous uphill climb in making this shift to greater light. So we understand what time it is. And we are working to immerse ourselves always in this primal wisdom. And we will be doing so throughout this service today. And then as we immerse, you'll see also where we come to earth with a thud and anchor this wisdom in our daily living. So I'll start us with a quote from the Pertimru. This is actually on page 19. And it is what Ani is saying. It is what we want to be able to say. It is what our special guest is going to want to be saying. That there is, quote, "There is no fault in my body. Not have I spoken lies with knowledge. Not have I acted with double intent." Meaning I have not, as we talked about last service, not have I talked out of both sides of my mouth, not have I talked with forked tongue, not have I talked with double motive. And so we can see what was important to our African ancestors and how we embrace this in ourselves, in our life purpose, is reflecting these values that we're, no matter what work we are doing, we are working to reflect these values. So I have not acted with double intent. Grant that I may be like the favored one about you. Grant that I may be like the favored ones about you. And sir, we are all striving to be in a sir, one of the favored ones of the beautiful nature God, beloved of Neb, Lord of the world, beloved of the Neb, Lord of the world. We want to be beloved of the Neb, of the Lord of the world. And this is the declaration of the royal scribe Ani, who loves him, who loves the Neb, Lord of the world, and may he be triumphant before Asur. So on that note, let's bring our special guest forward, and we will let him begin to introduce himself. And so let me get the technical thing straightened out here. And I just want to, there's some things in the chat. Everybody's saying Hotep, Linda, Doug, good morning, and Andrea. All right. And then just take a moment to greet those who are here. And let me just close this and go and see, say good morning to each and every one of you. Good morning, and know that each and every one of you is that guest speaker ultimately to come forward and speak with us. So today we've had Nora before, we're having Mende today, and so be prepared, family, be prepared, beloveds, to come forward. So let me just go here and bring Mende forward.
There we go. Hello.
Wow. Yay.
Hello.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess we have to keep this bottom box because you're coming in two ways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So no,
well,
it has your name. No worries. We'll work with it. No worries. Oh, hey, that's all right. Yay. Okay. All right, Mende. So welcome, and great to see you. And so Mende.
Likewise.
All right. So let's just begin. And so Ani, living as Ani, living to be as like Ani, as Asur, as Haru, Semsu Haru. Tell us about your life, work, and purpose, your reason and meaning for being. What have you incarnated to do? I think some folks are aware of some things, but we're here to really anchor this fully. So let's hear from you.
Well,
I love your
awesome.
Yeah, I love your, let's start by looking at this Medjugorje just staring at us, these beautiful shirt that says Onk Uja Seneb.
By the way,
yes, and the Onk is in the middle, life. Yes, Uja is the first symbol, Onk is the second symbol, and Seneb is the third symbol. So life, prosperity, and health, or prosperity, life, and health. So that's beautiful. This is fully and wearing it at the heart. So this is really embracing our African
Absolutely.
wisdom.
And just so, yes, and just so everyone knows, this shirt was designed, who was also an admin in our group. So they have many other designs. So if
Yes,
you're interested in purchasing one, you can go to his website, ushaka1.com.
excellent.
Or you
Excellent.
can join our group. Yeah. Or you
Excellent.
can join our group, Ancestral Knowledge, and click on his links, and you'll be able to view his products and purchases. So I just wanted to mention that, you know, since he's his wife is the one that actually created the shirt.
Beautiful. And we want to learn
But
where we can
to
find
answer-
this beautiful artwork. Beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. And so, Doctor, let me start by thanking you for your patronage, your tutelage. You have been a voice that has been sorely needed in our group and in the world, for that matter. You know, I created the Ancestral Knowledge Group on July 9th. We've been around for some time, and Doctor, you've been around, obviously, before, but also in our group for a while. You actually made your first post in our group in 2016. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Okay.
But
No.
yeah, so
No, I wasn't aware.
So to your point, you know, about Ani and your teachings about our life purpose, this is obviously I feel the reason that I'm here is to help promote the teachings of our ancestors. And the about group information says that the group was promoted to teach it was established to promote the teachings of the ancient Nile Valley on how to restore the Africans' race's prosperity, health, and spirituality by cultivating the God self. And I love the spirit of many scholars who have chosen to focus their attention on material accomplishments of our ancestors. Our focus is on the spiritual teachings that brought peace and prosperity to the Nile Valley in antiquity. So again, truth, justice, righteousness is the goal, and what our ancestors gave us and left us as a blueprint to live, reason for being on the planet.
What
That's the short term.
All right. What you said is just so vital, because it is, I fully resonate and love what you're saying about, you know, there is the form aspect in the, you know, to show folks the pyramids, to show folks, you know, all the temples and all the artifacts, our antiquities. And yet the work needs to be done in moving interiorly to the spirituality that undergirds the outer expression of that form aspect. Here in building Lighted Temple Wisdom Service and in the Ancestral Knowledge, you know, you're saying that there's the emphasis on understanding the energy, the spirit that move to manifest the outer form. And that's a deeper penetration. That's a deeper penetration. And we need to see the pyramids, we need to see the outer, but we need to, again, get into that deep science and knowledge of our wisdom to understand how they came to manifest that outer expression. Yes. All right.
Ashe, and beautifully expressed, beautifully expressed. And again, it's not just by what our ancestors have done, it's about building on it. right? It's about, taking the baton from them and learning how to incorporate the concepts, ideas, practices into our lives so that we can manifest the greatness that they did.
Excellent. Yes, replicate that greatness. Just replicate that greatness. And so family, beloveds, one thing I've learned thus far about Mende and many of you is that you're very humble about what you do. For those of you who've already become a member on the Ancestral Knowledge page, you'll see that Mende, and he goes by King Mende in certain his page or on his pages, that he has in excess of 128,000 followers there, people who have come into those primal waters. We are all here moving in these primal waters. How are we finding higher ground in these troubled times? How are we coming into this sacred space, these sacred spaces? And it was actually Mindy who invited the Academy of Kemetic Education and Wellness, the Building the Lighted Temple service, to come into this space that he is creator of. And so I have said that we're very appreciative because we're nestled in good company, in a great vibration. And we're going to talk about what this humble brother, this king, has been doing, because we have to name it and we have to recognize it. And you also have to recognize it in yourselves as you in turn will come forward. So Mindy, I very much see you and hold that awareness of what you're doing. You are in these, creating this real sacred space, so people can come into this primal, these pristine waters, because we are now seeking to be immersed in these waters, in these spaces, but we still have to do the work of cultivating these spaces so that they are pure. Because just because we come into a virtual space called the web or online doesn't mean we can't find ourselves in a cesspool or in the muck and mire of things. There is lots that is out there. So you are doing the work of really discerning and discriminating in these waters. And I want to take us to the primal wisdom and anchor us there, because Mende, you very much acting as a Sem priest. You're very much acting as a Sem priest. And I want to show the family a picture. I want to share my screen and show a picture. And then I want to have us see a verse from the Pertimru on exactly what is happening here and how to ground this. So you see here, family, the image of the Shem priest. Let me get that little marker, that little light thing, that little, where is that? Annotate. And get this little thing here. All right, you see here, this is the Shem priest in his leopard skin. All right, and presiding here at this opening of the mouth ceremony. And so that's why today is entitled the opening of the mouth. Now, what is the opening of the mouth ceremony that our African ancestors have left us and have taught us? And so here we have that Sem priest who is making the declarations and presiding over this resurrection process of Osir, this Osirianization that we are all seeking to undergo. And so the next I want to do, you can speak to that, Mende, but I'll say more about this, or maybe you'll wait till you hear the verse, whichever you want to do, just chime in. This is about you, but
Okay,
I want to go.
Let me.
Go ahead. Say what you'd like so far. Go ahead.
I was going to say, let me hear the verse.
Okay, sure.
Can I hear the verse first?
Yes, yes. All right, so this begins the chapter we're on page, let me just move us here. We're on pages 266 in the Primal, but you'll see the pagination is a bit different when we do it online. And so this begins the reading here out of our primal text, the Primal. It says the next part of the ceremony, meaning in the first part, which we won't read today unless we have time to go back, is about the sacrifices that have been made. And in these sacrifices represent the slaughter of the enemies of Osir. They represent the destruction of the enemies of Osir. So you as Sem priests, you as Kerheb priests are, because they're these three priests that are involved, and I see you simultaneously in all these different roles in your work in ancestral knowledge, that there's the sacrifice that is, you're the work of slaying the enemy that would of Osir, of Haru, because when you're in this platform, there are those who are not, that they are foes. So you can speak to that. And so I'll read this part.
Awesome.
It says that in the next part of the ceremony, so you are the first part of the ceremony, the gatekeeping, guarding, the dealing the death blow to all that would obstruct. And then the second part, we say, the next part of the ceremony, i.e. the opening of the mouth and the eyes, is performed by the Sem priest, who addresses the deceased. I mean, what is the deceased? We are the deceased until we are made to live again, right? It reads, I have come to embrace you. The Sem priest says, I have come to embrace you. I am your son, Haru. I have pressed your mouth. I am your son. I love you. His mother beats her breast and weeps for him, and those who are in chains with him, i.e. Osset and Nephtes, or Nebuchadnezzar, beat their breasts. Your mouth was closed, but I have set in order for your mouth and your teeth. And then it says, the Kerheb next calls on Shem priest 4 times. So I see you as that Kerheb. I see you as that Shem. You're in all these multiple roles, and you roles. He says, "O Sem, take the Sebher and open the mouth and the eyes." So this is the instrument that the Shem uses. And while the Sem priest is performing the ceremony, the Kerheb continues. So, you're in both of these voices. You say, your mouth was closed, but I have set it in order for you, your mouth and your teeth. I open for you your mouth. I open for you your 2 eyes. I have opened for you your mouth with the instrument of Anubis. I have opened your mouth with the instrument of Anubis, with the iron tool with which the mouths of the gods were opened. You know, you talk about ancestral knowledge, you're opening the mouths of our ancestors, Mende, where so they may have a give voice and a place to speak in your platform. Haru opened the mouth. Haru opened the mouth. Haru has opened the mouth of the dead as he will open the mouth of Osir with the iron which came forth from Set, with the iron tool, and we see these tools in these figures below, with which he opened the mouths of the gods. I mean, ancestral knowledge, opening the mouths of the Neb, the Nectaru. He has opened your mouth with it. The dead shall walk and shall speak. And Mende, we're not just talking about the ancestors, we're talking about the dead among us who are so-called walking and living, who are absent this knowledge that is resident in your space, in that ancestral knowledge platform. He says, he has opened, the dead shall walk and shall speak, and his body shall be with the great company of the gods in the great house of the aged one in Anu, and he shall receive there the Uret crown from Haru, the Lord of mankind. So Mende, let's hear
Ashe.
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 Thoughts? Shem.
Ashe.
Sem
Ashe.
priest. Sem priest.
Awesome. Awesome.
In your stewardship of
And beautifully expressed. Yes. Yes. You know, that's the first time I heard that comparison, which, you know, is magnificent. I appreciate and am honored by it. I think that you know, it's true in many ways. And kind of going back to Ani, right? And being what's known and as a Mahakaru, I believe that's
truer voice.
the,
And
I
yes,
am not going to, yeah, something like, right? I'm not going to mislead those who are interested in knowing the truth, which is, you know, unlike the prescribed powers that be, this is a labor of love for me. And I'm going to share information and that I've learned. And you referenced the membership earlier. I assure you, they didn't come for me. They came for the knowledge, and you know have been gracious enough to contribute. Now, again, my role is to guide the group in and make sure that the purpose of it is fulfilled. And as you know, Doctor, our ancestors could not conceive of a god without a goddess. So I have been in search of that feminine energy that can be a part of the leadership provide. And so we're thrilled and excited to have you and appreciate your being there. But back to your point, there is a need to be a gatekeeper. And I've been accused at a young age of having the gift of discernment. And so, you know, that's an Anpu function, right? So what I need to do is continue to actually tighten up and be more restrictive in regards to I see a lot more than the group sees, right? And there was a time when I was more liberal with sharing, as long as it related to us, and whether it was politics, you know, something about a celebrity, anything that we could learn a lesson from. But at this point, because you know, marquee censors have decided that our group is community standards, I have to be more conservative in terms of the post, because I want the group to live and not be regulated, as you mentioned earlier, to a digital graveyard like so many others. Okay,
Say more about,
yeah,
elaborate more about that digital graveyard, because this is what we wrestle with. This is what, say more.
absolutely. So, I mean, as you may, Sunak has or had a page, Kushite Kemetic Spiritual Science, which was basically made a digital graveyard, right? And
Say his name again.
the sad part of it,
May his name live. Say his name again.
his name is Kansu Nak. And Kansu actually was the original Haru, right? He was part of the original Trinity. And he was the son, he was the hero, what I understand. But at the end of the day, Kansu had a page called Kushite Kemetic Spiritual Science, where for years he would share information relative to African spirituality. And what ended up happening is that page was disabled. He had 120 plus thousand followers as well. So that page was disabled and regulated to the status of a digital. We always go to the page and just peruse it. There's a lot of vital, valuable information there. And so, you know, with that lesson, my goal is to keep our group as alive as long as we can, particularly so it can be a nexus to your classes that everyone is encouraged to join and attend, because I learn something every single time you teach.
Ikur, Mende, Ikur. Once again, you have said so much, and there are, I think, a couple of places where I think the audio was going out. So I'm going to repeat if I hear that happen, so we don't miss anything.
Oh, please.
Anything you
Please
have
do.
to say. But yes, that you know, because you and I were talking, and you know, it just became clear to me that yes, they have made that space a digital graveyard, and so this brings us to the next area of focus, because in addition to slaying the enemies of Osir, and you know, and that can be as simple as delete. You know, what does slay look like today? You know, you know, slay just means keep things pure and clarified and uncorrupted and undistorted, and keep out that which would be injurious to African people, African consciousness. That is a monumental task, just that making those and then so that brings in that energy of Herakuti, the Martian energy, you know, that warrior. It brings in, you know, a powerful warrior, and brings in that Scorpio energy of, you know, being able to go into the depths, into the muck and mire, and not to stay there, but to redeem into the light. There's a, you know, always has to be a redeeming into the light to purify, having gone into the depths. And you know, then, you know, the discernment of you know, in those waters with you bringing in that, as you say, on pool or the Sebek, and all set the, you know, what do you need to be perfecting the form? What qualities do you have to bring astrologically, neurologically, to keep perfecting the form? Because you and in order to perfect the form, you have to be able to spot the flaw. That just goes with the territory. You have to be able to spot.
Yes.
Like you walk, you know, you walk in a beautiful museum and you see a picture that's, you know, it's crooked. You know, you just go and you make the adjustment. You know, but that is a skill. Not everybody has that skill and energy. So, but now this so now that we are seeking this higher ground, these spiritual waters in which to be disseminators of the wisdom, we're looking at what can happen and what is needed. But then we have to move to how, even for that other website, it became a Facebook page, it became a spiritual graveyard. And so this is the censorship. And because we are living in a time where telling our story has become fraught with tremendous obstacles, and even perilous obstacles. I mean, we've been left out of all along the educational system. We've been left out from preschool all the way up to the finest so-called well-funded universities. Our African wisdom has been left out, and so in seeking these other mediums, we too run into the censorship. And so that brings us to even look at what's happening currently with the 1619 project of that Nicole Hannah Jones is championing, how that's been shut down, or the attempts have been made to shut down. And also the critical race theory, how that is being shut down. And so this brings us into looking at that, the conflict of truth and lies. How do we move to speaking the truth in the midst of a paradigm of lies? And that's where your work is so valuable. And one of the things Nicole Hannah Jones speaks about is how, when for the 1619 project, when the 20 Africans who would become enslaved were brought to Virginia, that at that time, Thomas Jefferson, in declaring or framing the Constitution, says all men are created equal, born with unalienable rights. So the conflict abounds, and the work of truth-telling is foremost, and African people are the leading in the world in restoring truth. This ma'at is so is our charge to restore truth, and you can't have the lie beside this truth. She's been charged with trying to delegitimize this American democracy, because they only want to tell half of the story. And to tell a half truth is to tell a lie. So please say more, Mende, about the tremendous work you have at hand.
Well, thank you for the acknowledgement. Again, I'm a humble servant. I don't see myself as anything other than a lifelong learner who was fortunate enough to have been taught by foundational scholars, such as give you credit for your contributions to Pan-Africanism, going all the way back to ASCAP. I mean, you literally have taught and studied with all of our foundational teachers, going back from Dr. Ben to you name it, and Dr. Carruthers and many, many others. I enjoyed your video where you kind of displayed your interaction with scholars and the work you have been doing over the years, you know, with students matriculating through your academy is also, you know, spectacular. A lot of learned people with degrees decided that they wanted to learn the African spirituality that you taught and have gone through your program. So I'm humbled by the fact that we have so many influential, intelligent Africans throughout the world in our group. And, you know, I've just chosen, if you will, for lack of a better word, to create this platform, and to your point a moment ago, to act as a gatekeeper and ensure that the content is on code and doesn't threaten the group. I feel as though we are going to be shut down eventually. So my goal is to keep the group as alive as long as we can, so that the information that you share can be as widely viewed as possible.
And you know, let's wow, let's be with the you know, some of the gravity, and there's graven gravity in what you just said when you said you said what you're aspiring toward, and at the same time the concern that being shut down eventually. And so, and please, family, put your questions, please ask your questions and put them in the Q&A, because we do want to hear from you as well. Here we are. I mean, here we are. We are seeking spaces to disseminate wisdom, disseminate life itself, disseminate how to have a livingness, disseminate that our African ancestors teach us, you know, how in re-immersing ourselves within the primal wisdom, within the noon, within the pre-stellar substance, how we may renew ourselves. They teach us how to step back and get in back of the form, the seeming, you know, encapsulation we're in, the seeming circumstance we're in, and to be in that livingness. You know, Harriet Tubman had to live somewhere besides where her her surroundings showed her. She had to know there was something beyond the physical chains on her, on the body, on the mind, on the heart. And so these teachings are the access, because why? When we are as Osir, we are learning how to be assessors to the fount of all possibility, where it's an inexhaustible supply. And that's why our wisdom has been, all attempts have been made to cut us off from that. And here we're going now to the airways, the air spaces, to have this dissemination, which they don't want to have in the college, in the middle school, the high school, the colleges. They don't want to give you any grant for, so you can do your own brick and mortar thing. I mean, we've done a brick and mortar thing for 20 years without any penny from anyone except our own, the support that people gave us. And here we are, with awesome. with you saying, almost as you know, an inevitability. And what do? We will have to reconstruct ourselves somewhere else. We will have to, as we have always done, we've had to, again, continue to seek this higher ground. What is it that would be helpful to you, Mende? What is it that you want to ask of us or in the general population, because this video will be posted? What is it that we can do and that will support what you do?
And so, right, great question. So, I'd like to just allow our members to express whatever it is that they feel is relevant to them. And I will, along with our moderators and other admins, decide whether or not to share that information in the group. It is our responsibility as the leadership. And I take full responsibility. I'm not going to ask anyone to limit, what they feel, because this is a place for you to be able to express your truth and in a safe environment. Whether or not that truth will be published depends on whether or not I and other admins feel as if it resonates with the purpose of the group and kind of moves the ball forward. But at the end of the day, as all things come to an end, and my goal, as long as I'm able, is going to be to have this platform. And I am particularly interested in everyone joining your services, because again, this is the most primal information that the group has available. And so if you decide to join our group, make sure you do services every Sunday, even if you come in as a guest.
Yes.
I've always mentioned children are welcome as well. The doctor has a way of taking complex ideas and explaining them in a way that everyone can understand and appreciate. You have the opportunity to ask questions, to join in, and as she mentioned a moment ago, you may be called to join as a guest speaker at some point. So be prepared for that as well. But it's an honor. We can continue to grow down the road. Doctor, you've been a beacon for so many years and a blessing to so many people. And it's just, I'm excited about the opportunity going forward to have your influence in the group and get as many people that are interested to join your class, because that's what is really important. And again, if the group goes away, we can still have, that's kind of the clarion call that goes out to everyone. Don't believe that this can't go away anytime. So
yes.
join Dr. Nteri's group, absolutely, because as you saw earlier today, we study from the Pert M. Haru. We study also from one of her books, right? Building the Lighted Temple,
Yes.
which is an excellent, and I can't say more about it. And again, like I said, it's for me. I'm a new student. I'm like a freshman in her classes, and so there are a lot more people that are a lot more knowledgeable than I, which is fine. I never claim to have all the knowledge, but I want to be part of it, and hopefully learn and influence others by my behavior, as well as the information that's published and the association.
Wow. Well, a few key points on all that you have said. Family, first of all, just let's look at the magnitude of this. When we talk about having 128,000 members, I mean, think of this we're in this ethereal space, that has been created. It didn't necessarily start out as ethereal, but it has been cultivated to be ethereal and pristine and refined and of the highest vibration. Of course, you have those spaces in these same virtual spaces, as I said, that are just cesspools where you can find the muck and the mire and the sludge of humanity. That's not where we are. We're not in those waters. This work that has gone into these waters, and just think, family, what it would be if this were a brick and mortar space, in which Mende or anyone was working with, trying to manage 128,000 people. Just think about that. This is so. This King Mende, you have done an amazing thing here. You have been manifesting an amazing thing, and to anchor all of that in the primal wisdom. I see the building a lighted temple, wisdom service, this service, and then in relationship to the ancestral knowledge, in this whole primal realm, these waters. I see this temple. I see the work here we're doing in the building the lighted temple as like the Holy of Holies. If you've ever gone to Kemet and you've walked the temples and you have seen the design in the layout, well, this ancestral knowledge is like the outer court. It's like, okay, okay, be at this column and be with this teaching. If that's where you want to begin in that level, then we have something for you. Be at this column, be at this post, be at this pillar. But then in the Holy of Holies, which I see the building the light, this service, the building the lighted temple. And that's why I feel honored to be nestled within ancestral knowledge, because there are spaces out in that virtual online field where, now, of course, fear is not a part of our vocabulary. We don't use that word. But there are spaces out there where angels would fear to tread. So when I say that we feel honored, I want to help you understand what that means metaphysically. We are metaphysically honored to be nestled within the Building a Lighted Temple Wisdom Service, to be nestled within this good and great company called Ancestral Knowledge. And so the next thing.
Awesome.
Go ahead. Did you want to say something about?
Well, I was going to say, Doctor, awesome analogy. Every time you speak, as I say, my consciousness is expanded in some way. And yes, that's a fantastic analogy. The building the lighted temple is the Holy of Holies in regards to the Ancestral Knowledge Group. And to your point earlier, there are people are on different walks. So some people may not be able to handle this potent dispensation that that comes with your teaching. So so at the end of the day, there are other teachers that are part of the group that we share, that for perhaps the beginner who's still Bible bound, who has the word we don't use, the fear to kind of walk away and let go into another belief or ideology. And so at the end of the day, there are different levels that we allow in the group. But again, your teaching is primal, and it's perfectly placed in the Holy of Holies, metaphorically, in our group. So That's a fantastic analogy. And one more thing I want to mention in regards to the name Ancestral Knowledge. Well, Doctor, you are an expert when it comes to astrology, and you obviously realize that we are no longer in the age of believing. We're in the age of knowing now. And so ancestral knowledge is about knowing as opposed to belief, right? And I just wanted to mention that too, because that's what gave impetus to the name.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just so well and beautifully expressed. Nefer, a cur, and family, our work in moving from that Piscean dispensation into this Aquarian dispensation, this age, is to, as you said, to go from believing to knowing, to being knowers. And so we want to, when we come into our primal wisdom, by the hundreds of thousands, but this is what this is the pathway, this is the door, this is the vibrational field that in which this is, which is being cultured and cultivated for this happening. And may the door open wide so that those who are in those brick and mortar spaces of call the mosque, call the church, that no longer serve the life, that offer a structure, but whose content is bereft or absent the life, the livingness that we need to fully resurrect ourselves as Osir. And these are more struggles, challenges, get your warrior on, Mende, because this the foes come from in many directions. Those who are in bound by religion, bound in, and when they see that you are trying to help folks extricate themselves from that, it's like, get back over here, get back over here and worship these images that are the images of our oppressor. That is still very strong, especially as this Piscean age has come to it. But people are still acting Piscean-like. There's that zealousness and that that still remains energetically. But you're offering people a place and an invitation to then find the column, find the seat at the ancestors, where they can hear the voice, because the ancestors will speak to them at any pillar they're at, in that outer sanctum, in that outer court, and on their way to the Holy of Holies. And so
absolutely awesome. Well, it's like you say, Doctor, in your teaching. It's like you say in your teachings, right? And I like the way you use your hands to make the point. We are here, right? And it's an arduous climb. And so this is not for the faint of heart, okay? So, we don't necessarily, I don't have to see the fruits of the labor here. My role is to, monitor and manage the doorway, if you will, and make sure that the ancestral knowledge that I was taught by you and scholars like you is known to anyone interested in learning. That's kind of my mandate in regards to this group and why I'm here now.
Ikur, and you know, you feel it in the heart. You just, you know, family, I hope you can feel heartfelt. Andrea says, all my ancestral joints have been well oiled today. Let me pull that back up because Andrea says it so well. She says, all my ancestral joints have been well oiled today. Then you both, thank you both for shining so bright. Oh, excellently expressed. And so a couple, so this is, so we're going to go here now, because we're starting to be at that time, and like we're not, well, like we say, we are in that primal wisdom, and so we're not trying to be a church and keep you here all day, because why? You have places to go, people to see. You are to your finest hour of service has arrived. There's no more dress rehearsals. This is it. You know, this is the finest hour. So be at your life purpose and service. So we do our utmost to end right on time. So that means we got 1 minute left. But I think in this 1 minute, leaving you, and we want to end with King Mende saying what he wants to the voice as a closing. We have been talking about, see, we always talk on multiple levels. There's multiple planes of consciousness. We are, so I'm going to go to this level, and there's more to be said about this level now, but I'm just going to caption it for you. In previous services, we've been talking about what we are up against also in terms of artificial intelligence, and our battle now with this white supremacist paradigm that will now engage the metals, the machines, to increase what it hasn't had in births and in numbers. And so we are up against that artificial intelligence. But you said it so well, Mindy, when you said you're here to serve, and I likewise, because we're just cultivating this space, because what is happening, and I think, you know, if you, everyone has seen The Matrix. That is a documentary well worth seeing and well worth mining for its prophecy and its richness and its prophecy, because we are here now with this battle already going on. But know that what I leave you with is that artificial intelligence, you know, as we have these services, as you have all the information that is going up on the Ancestral Knowledge platform, that artificial intelligence is mining all of these virtual spaces, these waters, for its gems, and so they'll take what they want to take. They'll take but what is our responsibility? Our responsibility, ancestral knowledge responsibility, is to let us store our highest treasure here. Let us store, you know, our highest treasure here, so that ravaged humanity, what is ravaged? What is to be ravaged is to be severely damaged and devastated. So that ravaged humanity, once this cycle runs its course, can restore itself after the blows of this, after the blows from this cycle have been delivered and ended and has come to a close. So we are really leaving the treasure house for that aspect of humanity that has been ravaged by climate change, putting chips in, all that's coming. They'll be able to reconstitute themselves by the work that we do here. So I am truly honored, Mende, in the work that you do, that each and every one of you are doing here in our Building the Lighted Temple service. Every day that you work in fulfilling your life purpose and service, we are working to place those gems in this treasure, in that space where there is no corrosion, where in this safe space. And so, Mende, I'll leave you the closing words.
Well, thank you again for the invitation to participate. I hope that you know what it is that is important was received from everyone. And again, feel free to join Ancestral Knowledge Group. There's a lot of good things there, but more importantly, make sure you guys join Dr. Nteri's Building the Lighted Temple services, which is obviously held every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll learn as much as you can imagine and more. And so thank you again, Doctor. Thank you, everyone who's in attendance. Next time, invite your friends, your family members. Let's get this information out widely, and hopefully we can put a dent in the, you know, what Doctor mentioned a moment ago, which incidentally is the majority of the planet. Okay, so make no mistake, we've all been ravaged in some form or fashion, and we need a space where we can heal and be safe. Ancestors have left us.
Ashe, ashe. And on that note, where we're just about on time, we have to have exactitude. And thank you everyone who has come today, been present today. We've had a big group today, so we're excited that they were able to hear this message, and we'll post the video, and the video will go forward. And then one other thing, Mende, too, is in ancestral knowledge with other administrators, etc. You can invite us or have us come to on your platform and give voice or support or whatever you would like to request. All right. So on that note, here we have Uncle Jasaneb from Tim. Uncle Jasaneb, everyone. Peace and blessings. Mende, Uncle Jasaneb, Uncle.
Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.